Attention Earthlings, do not attempt to adjust your dial.
You are about to voyage into the marvelously mystifying.
Join us as we navigate the enigmatic waters of consciousness, delve into the arcane realms of the occult and the paranormal, and converse with captivating beings from across the universe.
Prepare to expand your mind, challenge your perceptions, and journey into the unknown with your guides, Bunnicula and HP Hovercraft.
The frequencies of strangeness await.
Welcome to Dizzy Spell.
Hello.
Hello. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hello, yeah.
Hello, yeah. It's the Dizzy Spell coming at you.
I read this book to Casper sometimes that's called Yo Yeah. And it's just like very minimal words. And it's like two guys having a conversation where they become friends. And it just goes like, yo. And then the guy goes, yeah. And then he goes, you. And he goes, me. And he goes, yeah, you. And and then the gist of it is that the guy says he has no friends. And he goes, yo, me. And he goes, you? He goes, yeah. And then they all go, yo.
Yo. I like that. That's cute.
Yep.
Yo, yeah.
So that's what we should do.
I dig it.
That's what I felt like we were doing.
All right. Next episode that we're coincidentally recording in an hour. We can do that.
Yo. Yeah. No friends. Oh. Wait. Me. You? Yeah, you.
I like that you know the entire
It's like
book.
10 pages. Like, that's all that it is. I could probably do the Lorax all the way through, too.
All right. I feel like this is a weird way to start, but I'm going to go there. There is a person in custody.
Oh, yeah.
And have you
Fake
seen...
name. Got it.
You think?
What is it? It's like Luigi Mangini. Are you serious? 3D
Yes.
printed gun. Also, just guess we should just say we're talking about the...
CEO killer.
Yeah.
Was it a 3D printed gun? I read it was like
3D
a
printed
veterinary
gun.
pistol.
Also learned that that's a thing today.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's real. That's real stuff right there.
No.
Yeah, people can just...
Weirdly, I feel like that
Make
should be
guns.
allowed for some reason
Yeah, that's
in my
fair.
head. Like I don't necessarily see why if you can have a gun at all, you shouldn't be allowed to 3D print one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I guess I'm not talking about like my own beliefs because I don't think there should be any guns.
Sure.
That's how I feel.
I think that's reasonable.
But in a world where there are guns, if you can 3D print a gun, I think that I don't think that's like an extra crime.
Yeah, I'm
is what
good with
saying.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's really no passages to get a gun. You can just walk in and get one anyway most of the time. So why not? Why not
It just seems
download
like
a
extra
file?
steps to you wouldn't download a gun.
Yes.
Would you, and I know the answer, but I'm just going to say, if you, at your place of work, recognized the CEO assassin,
Absolutely
would
not.
you have called...
I would have looked the other way.
What McDonald's employee is like, I know that face.
I know.
I'm calling that guy.
I know.
There's something wrong with all of it.
It's fucked up. But the reason I brought him up is because you said the Lorax. Because I don't know if you saw this, but people immediately started like looking for his accounts online.
Yeah.
And they
he
found
said he liked the Pokemon?
Well, they found there's a Pokemon called the Lorax?
No.
Oh, they found his Goodreads. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the books he had reviewed was the Lorax.
Yeah.
And
did he give it 5 stars?
I'm assuming it's a great book. Why wouldn't he? But he also gets into like a bunch of other interesting books. It's very interesting to see.
The man who assassinated the United Healthcare CEO liking the Lorax is the least surprising
Yeah, exactly.
thing to me. When was the last time that you read the Lorax?
Oh, it's very woke.
The Lorax is incredible, and it
Yeah.
is an important message.
I agree.
And I was thinking about this last night when I was reading the Lorax, is that like it's popular with the kids still, but I'm sure that they're watching the movie and not reading the book with their parents. I don't think that kids that are into the Lorax now are still reading the book with like the types of parents that I see out there in the world.
That's interesting. One of the things that, and we don't have to talk about this guy for very long, but one of the things that they said in the Goodreads is that he reported to have read the 1995 Anti-Technology Manifesto written by the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski.
And he logged it?
Yeah.
He logged it in
Yeah.
his Goodreads.
He, I think, had a pretty lengthy review of it, too. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Interesting
But
stuff, right?
okay, so I don't think it adds up in a couple different ways. He's 8 days removed from it or whatever.
Wow, he made it 8 days.
It's got to be close.
Wow.
I think it's probably last Wednesday.
Maybe.
If I had to guess, that's what I think. Still hanging out, still got a gun on him with a suppressor.
That makes me think he was going to kill someone else.
Like, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. Like, obviously you ditched the murder weapon.
But like, yeah, I don't know.
He was also
in Pennsylvania.
They found like the backpack supposedly that was his full of Monopoly
full
money.
of Monopoly money. That's awesome.
Pretty
Everything
wild
about
stuff. Pretty wild stuff.
So...
Pretty crazy. But yeah, you said the Lorax and it made me think of the
I love that he loves the Lorax. That's
pretty
cool.
based.
I didn't think that's where you were going with that.
Wow. Well, what other pop culture-y or banter do we need to
shout out
cover?
to The Substance getting nominated for several Golden Globes this morning.
Yes.
I have a little things to actually analytical things to say about this.
Okay.
So the Golden Globes, and everybody knows, and I know mostly just me know this. The Golden Globes are the less serious Oscars.
Okay.
They're not as important, but they are a lot more fun. And it's interesting because they're broken into 2 categories. They do musical and comedy, and they do drama. And that makes for a lot of weird filing of things.
Yeah, I don't see it as a comedy, really.
Yeah.
It does make me laugh. I did laugh for the last
but it's also
20
not,
minutes.
It's also not a drama.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
It's just a horror movie.
So things get filed into, horror movies often get just filed into comedy just because.
Yeah.
Is Get Out a comedy?
No.
Kinda.
Yeah. Yes,
like it's certainly not like a straight up serious drama.
Yeah, that's so true.
Last year, a big debatable one was
The Bear.
Well, The Bear is the one that everybody cites.
But that was the Oscars, right?
Well, no.
Was that Golden Globes?
Either the Emmys or the Golden Globes. Emmys also does things like that. Emmys is TV. Golden Globes is movies and TV.
You know so much more about the awards.
I'm saying
shows.
that's why what I'm getting towards is something that I don't think anybody cares about but me. I assumed that The Substance would be nominated for Best Picture at the Golden Globes because it would be in the comedy category.
Which it was.
There's more room for a weird pick like that doesn't necessarily make its way to the Oscars. For example, like a movie like, I don't know, I can't remember if it is nominated, but I don't think that it is, but a movie like Deadpool and Wolverine might be, like Hugh Jackman might be nominated for Best Actor in a comedy because of that, when there's like no chance he would get an Oscar for it.
Okay.
Or James Franco for Pineapple Express won a Golden Globe for
rightly so,
like that kind of thing.
Rightly so.
His
best role.
So I knew that there was a chance that The Substance would get nominated, but it's interesting because the Golden Globes doesn't break down certain categories into genres.
Yes.
Director, screenplay, supporting actor, and actress. Yes. In which The Substance still made its way and was nominated for Best Director.
Yep.
Margaret Qualley is for Best Supporting, and it got a screenplay nod.
Yeah.
So that gives it an even greater chance, in my opinion, that it'll be recognized at the Oscars, at least in a nomination category.
Okay.
Which is very exciting to me.
Yeah. I mean, as I've said, Demi Moore should win everything. She was amazing.
I really, really hope that she at least gets nominated.
That would be really cool. I feel like that would be a turning point for horror in a way.
Yeah, because you look at like the biggest horror snub of the last 10 years is Toni Collette in Hereditary. Like,
totally.
Easy.
Yeah.
Like she probably should have won and at least should have been nominated.
Absolutely.
And just nothing at all. So hopefully this has got the kind of traction where it's somebody coming back in a role. It's a director that has momentum as well. It's a new studio. Well, Mubi bought it, so like they have, maybe they're like a super underdog. So maybe they have like there's a lot of reason for them to really campaign for it. I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is really what the Oscars mostly is. So
cool.
And like there's already some legitimacy in it competing at Cannes and winning screenplay at Cannes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that helped matters for sure.
So I hope that it gets there. I really want to see Anora. That's still like, I think that Anora is going to win Best Picture. That's my early prediction.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Wicked win anything. even though I haven't seen it.
I think that's fair.
I will see it. I've heard that it's good, actually. I'll believe it when I see it. Mm-hmm. I just don't let Wicked win anything.
I agree. No, I'm right there with you.
Wicked can win the Golden Globe. That's the thing is that The Substance won't win the Globe for Best Picture because Wicked will definitely win.
Interesting. Okay.
And because it's on the strength of it just being a musical.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
No, that was great.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Shout out to The Substance. Watch it.
Oh.
I've now paid $45 to Mubi by forgetting to renew my free not renew my free thing. So I've spent $45 on that movie.
That's real. Have you seen the new Interview with a Vampire show?
No.
It's
Is
so
it good?
It's so good. It's so good.
I don't know if I have space in my life for TV shows anymore.
That's fair.
That's
totally
just where it's been happening for a few years.
I remember you being really into the Chucky show, which
it.
I never watched. Yeah. I need to watch. But yeah, I see.
But that's like a couple years ago. Like, I don't remember the last TV show that I kept up with and watched. Yeah. It's impossible for me.
Well, I can't wait. They say the new season will be out early next year. There's 2 seasons out right now. And it basically takes the general story of the movie, but kind of like twists it on its head. And it's like about Louis, who was Brad Pitt, his character recontacting the journalist that was Christian Slater in modern times and them rehashing the story, basically. And the premise is sort of, he's like, I gave you the glossed over version and I'm going to give you the real version now. And it's very good. Very good.
I'm surprised that you're not vampired out from your October.
Well, that's why we watched it. Yeah. So we did all of October and November. So we finished it right before the end of November. And now we're on to Witches. And just to give you more context here, my husband and I have now created an entire jar full of themes, and every few months we're going to pick a new theme that is going to be like the content that we're watching. So we like wrote down on slips of paper like 100 themes, and we're gonna like pick one every few months.
That sounds tough.
I think it will be. We have rules around it, so it's like, I don't want to get into it that much. It's just a bunch of rules, but we have like kind of guidelines and stuff. So now we're on Witches. We just watched The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was really fun to watch because I forgot Father Christmas is in it.
I don't remember at all.
I know. I fully forgot that part. The whole point is like the White Witch wants it to be always winter but never Christmas. And so he like shows up and kind of like does the Galadriel thing of like giving them gifts that help them to fight the witch. So that was fun. And then we also have been watching The Magicians. Have you ever seen this show?
No.
Okay. It is probably the best thing that sci-fi has ever put out. No,
it's the Chucky show.
Okay. Oh, did they do sci-fi?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually didn't realize that. Okay. But yeah, so The Magicians is a book series by Lev Grossman that I read a long time ago. And Lev Grossman also had a pretty deep hand in the TV show. So the TV show is very good. And it's basically like it's like Harry Potter and Narnia kind of put together, and it's like if they were in grad school. So it's like magical sex and drugs, and it's like very adult and dark and deeply disturbing in some points, but it's also really good. I love the story so much. It kind of gets into the idea of like multiple dimensions, so it feels canon that both the book and the show can be existing in the same universe, kind of, like it's very well done. Highly recommend it.
See, that sounds cool. It sounds like something I'd like. And then I look at this and I go, 65 episodes?
Yes, exactly.
And I go, there's just no chance.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm never going to do that.
Well, I'm not getting whatever streaming service it's on, so I've been getting the DVD. So if you ever want to, I'll let you borrow.
I think that I would have a higher success rate if it was just still like that.
Yeah. But yeah, super, super good to revisit it. I'm super excited.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. So should we talk about this Reddit post I sent y'all the other day?
Yes.
Okay. So as you, the Disney Spellians out there know, the past 2 episodes were Alien Half Christmas. We talked a lot about a lot of very, very intriguing things that are coming out right now in media, in these congressional hearings. These whistleblowers are coming out of the woodwork talking about unidentified aerial phenomenon, all of these things. One of the craziest being that like frickin' blue globe orb thing at the Manchester
video.
airport. So insane. So since then, it's only gotten crazier. Like, the Reddit front page is just like covered in alien content now, because it's like all these drones are being seen all over New Jersey, which is really interesting, and some other spots in America and also outside of the US. But there's just like a lot of crazy drone specifically activity going on right now. And it's starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, it doesn't seem like we're shooting these down. We're not even trying. It feels like now some of this activity seems like there's speculation that maybe it's like some other military force that has like contentions right now, or I don't know. There's a lot of theories about like what all this drone activity is. I'm starting to wonder if it's not necessarily extraterrestrial or ultra-terrestrial or crypto-terrestrial or any of those things.
Chinese spy balloon.
Might be a Chinese spy balloon. But I did send a Reddit post in our group chat the other day. This comes from a user whose name is Aonaran84, and this is in the Nashville subreddit. And it says, anyone else see that cluster of discs over Antioch? Moving in unison, back and forth? No, just me? Asking because I was so overawed by what I was seeing, I didn't get any footage, and I'm hoping someone else did. Edit. In reviewing the footage I tried to capture, it appears the end time for the phenomenon was at 10:06 a.m., which would put the start at around 9:45 or so on December 7th. And they said that the location was somewhere northeast of the Pebble Creek area. Very interesting stuff. At some point, we do have to have our producer, Michael, come on and tell us about his sighting that was also in the same area. I'm very intrigued about this. But yeah, I mean, there's people in the comments being like, are you aware of what's happening over Jersey and Wisconsin and parts of Europe right now? It's just really crazy. There's someone in here also posted a link to the National UFO Reporting Center website, which I was like, hey, there's other people in Nashville looking at New Fork. Shout out to all you New Fork heads out there.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by this whole situation. And so I guess I want to put out a call. I want to say, if you're seeing stuff in the skies, we want to know about it. We want to document it. I think you should also go and log it on the National UFO Reporting Center website at nuforc.org. But I would also love if you would DM us on Instagram at DizzySpellWorld or email us at info@DizzySpell.show, because we would love to hear your reports.
Yeah, we should set up like our own sort of hotline.
Yeah. I love it.
It's fairly easy to do that.
Dizzy tip line.
About that for a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be super fun. Yeah, very curious about all this. I'm curious to see where it's going. They did say they hovered in seemingly random directions, then would move much quicker and much farther in a single direction, where they would then resume the hovering with minor direction changes. Very interesting stuff. Yeah. I want to hear it. Tell me about your sightings. Please and thank you.
Thank you specifically.
Yes. So should we jump into the meat of the show?
Yes.
All right. This was a special request from HP.
Yeah, I wanted to revisit. We did it on the analog radio.
Yeah, we did it on our old community radio show on WXNA. Shouts out to the X. But we wanted to revisit this and I think maybe expand a little bit on the information that we had in that episode.
Yeah.
So overall, I would say this is an informative episode exploring the variety of ancient and strange winter holiday traditions that exist around the world. But in its essence, this is about the holiday beast known as the Krampus. But to get there, first we must get some context by learning about a few other characters, okay?
Okay,
So this is like a journey.
I'm ready to learn more about this.
Yes, we could call this the evolution of Krampus. Maybe that should be the name of the episode. So first character I want to talk about today, Saint Nicholas of Myra. So this guy was an early Christian bishop of Greek descent from the maritime city of Patara in Anatolia, which is in modern-day Turkey. And there were many miracles attributed to his intercession, which you as a former Catholic will know that intercession is like essentially when a saint figure intercedes or does something to call down like a miracle.
Not that good of a Catholic.
That's okay. I might know more about Catholicism than you at this point.
At this point, I've blocked it all out.
So this guy was also known as Nicholas the Wonder Worker, and he's now the patron saint of sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, children brewers, pawnbrokers, toy makers, unmarried people, and students.
Really jam them all in there.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the theme there?
Aren't there? Some of these will kind of like arise through the
Children and
stories.
unmarried people can be lumped in the same.
Fair. That's fair. Also, I should go on the record as saying there is a lot of children eating in this episode.
Good.
A lot of children beating and children eating.
Like by the entities or?
Both and. Okay. Yes, and I should say.
That's why you got to better be good, for goodness sake.
So true.
See?
Yes.
Christmas.
So this person, Nicholas the Wonder Worker, his reputation evolved among the pious, as was common for the early Christian saints, and his legendary habit of secret gift giving gave rise to the folklore of Santa Claus or Saint Nick through Sinterklaas. So we'll talk a little more about Sinterklaas, or Sinterklaas maybe is how you say it, in a little bit as well. So early stories tell of this person calming a storm at sea, which is why maybe he's the patron saint of the sailors, saving 3 innocent soldiers from wrongful execution. Pretty base move. And also chopping down a tree possessed by a demon. I didn't find this story.
That's pretty cool.
We should look more into this.
My 2 claims to fame.
Yeah. Chopping down a tree possessed by a demon is pretty cool.
That's why he said, wait, why did you buy this? My favorite tree. Why'd you chop it down? Oh, it's possessed by a demon. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like that.
That was bad. That thing was going.
I'm going to use that excuse someday. But one of the most early attested and most famous incidents of his life was after his parents died from an epidemic, and Nicholas was said to have distributed their wealth to the poor. And so his most famous story is that he heard of a devout man who was once wealthy but had lost all his money due to the, quote, plotting and envy of Satan, whatever that means.
That's what I always say when I lose all my money.
Yes.
It's if Satan's jealous.
He's
plotting
jealous
against me, and he's running me dry.
So the man could not afford proper dowries for his 3 daughters, which meant that they would remain unmarried. Maybe that's the unmarried part, right? And probably in the absence of any other possible employment would be forced to become sex workers. So hearing of the daughter's plight, Nicholas decided to help them, but being too modest to help the family in public, or some say that he was saving them the humiliation of accepting charity, he went to the house under the cover of night and threw a purse filled with gold coins through the window opening into the house. The father immediately arranged a marriage for his first daughter with the money, and after her wedding, Nicholas threw a second bag of gold through the same window late at night. After the second daughter was married, the father stayed awake for at least 2 nights and caught St. Nick in the same act of charity towards the third daughter. He fell on his knees thanking him, and Nicholas told him not to tell anyone about the gifts. So here's an interesting part that I found. I could go on about this. There's a lot to this, but I think this is very interesting. Some historians believe that this desire to help women is most characteristic of that 4th century Christianity due to the prominent role that women played in the early Christian movement, rather than later forms of Christianity, at which point the position of women had drastically declined. So this, you may know this, and I forget the name of what it's called. It's not the Reformation, but there's like a phase in Catholicism where this changed. But originally the Holy Trinity, which is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, was actually the Father, the Son, and the Holy Mother. Interesting, right? So women erasure happening in Catholicism and Christianity. Not surprising.
Yeah, no way.
But I just thought this was interesting that like this came up in this story. So another story tells about how during a terrible famine, a malicious butcher lured 3 little children into his house where he killed them, placing their remains in a barrel to cure, planning to sell them off as ham. Which just reminded me of the picture of your child with the pigs. Which is amazing, by the way. We'll just leave it there. So St. Nicholas, visiting the region to care for the hungry, saw through the butcher's lies and resurrected the pickled children with the sign of the cross.
No.
Yeah. It's pretty lit, right?
So much. There's so much there. So much to take, to pull apart from that story.
I agree. Yeah. And so There is probably more information about Saint Nick on Wikipedia than there is about Krampus or Santa Claus or anything. Or the Santa Claus one's pretty big too, actually. But there's like so much information, and a huge part of the information about Saint Nick is like discussions about where his remains went after he died, which we know that saints, one, oftentimes their bodies are incorrupted, meaning they don't decay, but also oftentimes they're broken apart and created into relics that are then distributed to different churches where people can like touch to get like miracles, right? So there's like so much information on Wikipedia about where his remains went, who had them, the Turkish government trying to fight to get them back, like all these things. But I thought there was a really fucked up and interesting part to this. So up to the present day, a flask of manna is extracted from the tomb of St. Nicholas every year on the 6th of December, which is the saint's feast day, by the clergy of the basilica where he's buried. The myrrh, which is what they call it, which is very strange.
That's what myrrh is?
Myrrh is a resin.
See, like, yeah.
I don't understand why they're calling it myrrh, but that part I could probably do more research about.
Myrrh.
Maybe false
Makeshift myrrh.
I like that. Makeshift myrrh. So this myrrh is
also manna,
right?
Like it's just all of the word choices there are.
Yeah, it's very.
What's myrrh? Like literally,
myrrh is a resin that you can burn.
Frankincense and myrrh.
Yes, they're both resins.
When they're given to the baby Jesus child, both resins.
Yes, that you can like burn and they smell really good. Frankincense is also known for like cleansing of like negative energy and spirits. That's like a big use of frankincense.
I've been looking at this
witchcraft.
like witchy perfume company for gifts for Christmas.
Someone?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Someone special?
Yeah.
What do you know what it's called? Birkin Hair?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to brand name them.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
But it's this witchy perfume company for my wife.
Yeah.
But frankincense is like in all of them.
Totally. Yeah. It's probably great for cleansing of negative energies. So, okay, this myrrh is collected from a sarcophagus, which is located in the basilica vault and could be obtained in the shop nearby. The liquid gradually seeps out of the tomb, but it is unclear whether it originates from the body within the tomb or from the marble itself.
Ooh. Or like somebody's in there, like a little guy.
A little goblin's drooling.
Another year. I gotta get the
vial of myrrh. So the tomb is below sea level, so there have been several natural explanations proposed for the manna fluid, including the transfer of seawater to the tomb by capillary action. Okay?
That's funny to think about.
Yes. So
something real, or like just something real gross and slimy's in there. Oh, it's the substance.
Oh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Can you believe that it's the substance?
Ooh.
That's where it comes from. That's where they got the idea. It's just right into his spine.
I love that. That's my new favorite theory. I'm going to put that into Wikipedia. I'm going to edit that page. So the devotional importance of relics and the economics associated with pilgrimages causes remains of most saints to be divided up and spread over numerous churches in several countries. But St. Nicholas is unusual in that most of his bones have actually been preserved in his grave crypt in a place called Bari, which is where this basilica is. And so even with the allegedly continuing miracle of the manna, the Archdiocese of Bari has allowed for a scientific survey of St. Nicholas's bones. In the late 1950s, when the crypt was undergoing much needed restoration, the bones were removed from it for the first time since their interment in 1089. Pretty cool, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So a professor of human anatomy examined the bones and took a bunch of measurements and drawings and photographs and x-rays, and they revealed that the saint died at over 70 years of age. And he had chronic arthritis. They also were able to reconstruct his face based on the examination and found that he had a broken nose, which confirmed reports that St. Nicholas had been beaten and tortured during the Diocletianic persecution. I believe he was rescued from that persecution by Constantine the Great, according to the stories.
Great Keanu Reeves movie.
Ooh, I love that movie. That really is a good one. Speaking of Tilda Swinton, also in Narnia. Yeah, so there are like reconstructions of what the OG Santa Claus's face looked like out there in
what
the
does
world.
He look like?
I didn't look this up. I should. Let's just see if we can see this. Oh, ooh.
Is he hot?
Kind of. Yeah, steamy. I don't know. He kind of looks like good, like, healthy Santa
Well, they're not
Claus
gonna make him
kind of
look
vibe.
bad.
That's fair.
They're
Or if
not
he was
gonna
like,
be
this dude's
look at this
hideous.
horrific figure of what Santa really looks like.
This is interesting, too, because this is comparing some very old depictions of him from ancient paintings, and they actually look kind of similar to the recreation of his face. Pretty cool. Interesting, right? So, yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because I didn't even think to look at his face for some reason. So the results of the radiocarbon dating that they ended up doing on the pelvis bone of Saint Nick confirmed that he would have died in the 4th century AD. And so this is not a medieval forgery, which there are many medieval forgeries of saints, of saint bones and crypts and things like that.
This just happened?
This was in 2017.
Oh, I just Googled real Santa. And I'm coming up with a bunch of articles from this week that are real face of Santa Claus revealed after 1700 years. It's they're all it just happened.
Yeah.
Here's the one that I pulled out. Look at this guy.
Yeah, look at him. He looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I want to pinch his little cheeks.
At least they got it right.
I like it. So, yeah. So, in conclusion, this bone that the Oxford University team carbon dated was the oldest one that they had ever examined. So this is legit that this was at least a very, very old bone, if nothing else.
Yes.
So that is Saint Nick, okay? But as I mentioned earlier, there's this concept of Sinterklaas, which is a similar sort of character who is assisted by Zwarte Piet or Black Pete, a helper dressed in Moorish attire and had a black painted face. I think this is also referenced in The Office. I don't know if you remember this. I think they've kind of pulled this episode from things because in it, the guy who plays Colin Robinson in What We Do in the Shadows is in blackface, essentially. Mm-hmm. So this is a controversial character who nowadays sometimes is depicted with smudges of coal on his face instead of being in full blackface, which is probably a good idea. So traditionally, Zwarte Piet would carry a birch rod, a chimney sweep's broom made of willow branches, and he used these to spank children who had been naughty, coming back to the kid beating, right?
Yeah.
So some of the older Sinterklaas songs make mention of naughty children being put into Zwarte Piet's bag and being taken back to Spain. This quality, you may know, can be found in other companions of Saint Nick, such as Krampus, and someone we will talk about in just a little bit, Père Fouettard. So others have drawn parallels between Sinterklaas and his helpers and the wild hunt of Wodan or Odin, the old blue-hooded, cloaked, white-bearded gift-bringer of the north who rode the midwinter sky on his 8-footed steed, Sleipnir, visiting his people with gifts. So this is a Norse mythology creature, right? He flew through the air as the leader of the wild hunt and was always accompanied by 2 black ravens, Hugin and Munin. These helpers would listen, just like Zwarte Piet, at the chimney, which at the time was just a hole in the roof, to tell Woden of the good and bad behavior of the mortals. Okay, so you see where this is going?
I see they're getting there.
Yeah, there's this evolution happening. But really, Odin is most likely where kind of a lot of this stems from.
Yeah, okay. I'm seeing the through lines here.
Okay, good. So this is just a little side quest here, but I thought this was interesting because of Wicked kind of being in the zeitgeist right now. Yeah. So this is a little Santa Claus Wicked crossover. L. Frank Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz, also wrote a book called The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, which is a children's book that was published in 1902. And much of the Santa Claus mythos was not firmly established at the time, which gave him room for his version to have a variety of immortal support, a home in the laughing valley of Ho-Ha-Ho. I think you mean Ho-Ha-Ho.
Wow. I love that. Oh my God, I love that. That reminds me of, do you know Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone?
Yes.
And I don't know if it was him or there's another person when they were establishing what the phone greeting should be. And it's
ahoy hoy.
It's ahoy. Yes. Ahoy hoy was the one what he wanted.
I still think we made a mistake when we didn't go in the ahoy.
Can you imagine if ahoy hoy was in the lexicon like hello is? Like if it was the same? Like hello sounds so normal because we say that all the time. But if we just all said ahoy hoy instead...
It's pretty great.
God, what a missed opportunity. If I could go back in history, change one thing. Then they asked if you had a time machine, what would you do? That's what I'd change. Leave everything else. All the horrible things. I wouldn't fix 9/11. I would change ahoy hoy.
But I argue that it would put us in the less dark timeline. So maybe none of those other things would have happened, you know?
That's where it forks.
Yes, that's
right
it.
When there's ahoy hoy instead of hello. That's where we started going down the dark path to where we are now.
So in L. Frank Baum's version, which I should say that his name, L. Frank Baum, is actually where the character of Elphaba came from.
No way.
In Wicked. Yeah. They named her Elphaba, which was a reference to L. Frank Baum.
Oh.
I know this because I read Wicked earlier this year. So,
man, is it rough? I've heard
No, the book's amazing. The book is very
rough, like.
Yes,
yeah.
There's some like dark stuff in it, but it's very political. They talk about the talking animals being treated as second-class citizens, and Elphaba becomes sort of this like political dissident. It is awesome. As far as I understand, the musical is a very bastardized version of that.
Yeah, it's totally it's like the same level of like Wicked is alternative history of the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
And then Wicked is like
the musical is yes.
It's like the same as like the Hairspray musical being wildly different from the movie Hairspray.
Oh, yeah. So L. Frank Baum's story also had Santa Claus having 10 reindeer instead of 8, and they could not fly, but they leapt in enormous flight-like bounds.
Like flies.
Yes. Do they not fly?
I think I don't know if that's something that I just like think from all my life, but in my head, if somebody asked me that, flies don't actually fly. They jump like crazy. I have no idea if that's right or not.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a fly.
You ever like those things that you got told as a child that you just believe your whole life and it's never come up again?
Yes.
It's maybe one of those things for me.
Fair enough. So in the story, Santa Claus's immortality is earned much like his title Santa because it was decided by a vote of other people who were naturally immortal, which I think is very interesting. This establishes...
Excuse me, what do you mean by naturally immortal?
Well, like other immortal beings, like I don't know, gods or something. I'm not really sure.
Like all of the like Odin and everybody got around and decided the name of the guy?
Possibly. So I haven't read the book, to be fair. So this work also establishes...
We're still talking about the book.
Yes, yes. Sorry, we're talking about...
like a council of Santas that...
Now I want there to be a council of Santas. No, so this is L. Frank Baum's book, The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. So this also establishes Claus's motives, which is that he wants a happy childhood among immortals. And so this character, Ak, the master woodsman of the world, exposes him to the misery and poverty of children in the outside world. And he begins to strive to find a way to bring joy into the lives of all children and eventually invents toys as his principal means.
Oh.
Yeah. So Santa, this is why I brought it in, Santa later appears in The Road to Oz as an honored guest at Ozma's birthday party, stated to be famous and beloved enough for everyone to bow even before he is announced as the most mighty and loyal friend of children, His Supreme Highness, Santa Claus.
It's like crazy to break it down like this, where... like the myth of Santa Claus is sort of like a literary tradition that's been passed down through time, and then learn that the writer of The Wizard of Oz is a great hand in basically all of like modern Santa.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting, right? I had no idea about
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that at all, but it is like, I mean, it just makes sense when you're saying the oral history of it through time, that like eventually some guy was just like, well, I'm just going to write the modern Santa fable. Yeah. Because that's what everybody else has done.
Yeah. L. Frank Baum.
Now,
is a cool
the modern equivalent of that is Elf on the Shelf.
Yeah, kind of.
Kinda.
Did that just come from like a book?
No, it came from a person being like, I'm going to make a new Christmas thing. And they did.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's kind of like, imagine L. Frank Baum doing that in like 1900.
Yeah.
Being like, I'm a writer and I want to sell books. I'm going to make a Santa book. And we're going to sell it at all the stores for Christmas.
Yeah.
And now it's all of the Santa rules. It's like if Mel Gibson's son, who wrote the books about zombies, and they became the zombie rules.
I don't know any. Mel Gibson's son?
No. Mel Brooks' son.
Mel Brooks' son. Okay.
World War Z and also the Zombie Survival Guide. Remember those?
I had no idea.
So he just like sat and wrote those, and they became like the official zombie rules, kind of.
Huh. That's interesting.
That's exactly what Elfrink Baum did with Santa.
An elf on the shelf. Someone had to come up with it. So the next character I want to talk about is Père Fouettard, which is French for Father Whipper or Old Man Whipper.
So they called me in jail. I'm sorry. Shout out to Jonas. That's Jonas's joke.
Okay, so Father Whipper is a character who accompanies St. Nick on his rounds during St. Nicholas Day, which is the 6th of December, dispensing lumps of cold and or beatings to naughty children, while St. Nicholas gives gifts to the well-behaved. So he's kind of like the nega
the yin
St.
and
Nicholas.
the yang of Santa.
Yes. So the most popular story about the origin of Père Fouettard was first told about the year 1252. And this is about an innkeeper, or a butcher in other versions, who captures 3 boys who appear to be wealthy and on their way to enroll in a religious boarding school. Along with his wife, he kills the children in order to rob them. In one gruesome version, tells that they drug the children, slit their throats, cut them into pieces, and stew them in a barrel. Yeah.
That's worse than making them hams.
Yeah, I agree. So St. Nicholas discovers the crime and resurrects the children. After this, Père Fouettard repents and becomes St. Nicholas's partner. And in slightly different versions of the story, they claim that St. Nick forced him to become his assistant as a punishment for his crimes. So I thought you would enjoy this part, so I had to add this in. In the 1930s, Père Fouettard appeared in the United States under the translated name Father Flog or Spanky.
Man. You get from Father Whipper to or whatever to
Father
Old
Flog.
Man Whipper to Spanky.
So it's almost identical to the original French personification, but he had nothing to do with Christmas in this version. And he also had a female accomplice named Mother Flog.
Really losing the plot on it. You got Spanky and Mother Flog who have nothing to do with Christmas.
So the two doled out specific punishments for specific childhood crimes. For example, cutting out the children's tongues for lying.
That'll show them.
That will. They'll teach them a lesson for sure. So the most common depiction of Père Fouettard is of a man with a sinister face dressed in dark robes with scraggly unkempt hair and a long beard. He's armed with a whip, a large stick, or bundles of switches. And some incarnations of the character have him wearing a wicker backpack with that the children can be placed and carried away. Sometimes he just carries a large bundle of sticks on his back. Sound familiar? Perhaps because you're inclined to think of our homeboy, the Krampus. He also has.
Oh, he does got the sticks.
basket.
Yeah, the basket.
Yeah. So this is where we get to the Krampus. The Krampus is a horned, wicked, hairy devil figure who in the Central and Eastern Alpine folkloric tradition is said to accompany St. Nicholas on visits to children during the night of December 5th, which is known as Krampusnacht.
Oh, we missed it.
What? Oh, you mean the date?
Oh,
I know.
Krampus night.
I know, it already happened.
Okay, but this is interesting because one of the things that like you learn, I feel like when you're like a youth becoming like disenchanted with religion in general is that they basically all the holiday likes are like arbitrary and they're based on like pagan holidays, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's, and I don't like,
Yes.
like expanding on that would take a lot of time. It's like, that's really putting it lightly.
Mm-hmm.
But so the Krampus night is on the 5th. Feast of St. Nicholas was on the 6th, which
Yes.
was then changed to the 25th.
Yes.
When they Christianized it a little bit more.
Yep.
And stopped celebrating that particular saint, right?
Yes.
Like that's that. So in essence, Krampus night is like the hell night to Halloween. So it really like when they're moving around, it should be Christmas Eve.
Yeah, there's actually like a lot in pagan traditions, parallels between the Halloween time and the Christmas time, because Halloween is often said to be like when the veil is lifted and like the realms of the living and the like ghost realms can be like crossed through. But a lot of people actually believe that happens at the winter solstice.
Yes.
And the winter solstice is on December 21st every year. That is the shortest day of the year, the longest night of the year. And the idea is that in pagan traditions that oftentimes their holidays revolved around nature and the sun, the wheel of the year, that they were celebrating the return of the sun, aka the son of God.
Yeah. So when you are then like mistranslating it or changing it for I don't want to say your or whatever, but for the church's benefit, that's really where that kind of comes from.
Yeah. And so there was like Saturnalia, which was the solstice celebrations, where they like gave gifts and there was like debauchery and all these things. And when the Christians came in and took all that over, they said, well, we're going to worship the Son of God now, but we'll still give you sort of part of this tradition, basically. And it was their way of like getting all of these heathens to instead worship Christ.
Mind-blowing when you dissect it like that.
Yeah. And also, I mean, not to continue down this path because we have other things to talk about, but this is also where the idea of like the Yule tree comes in.
Yes.
Like that was part of like pagan traditions that revolved around nature-based practices. And then that got co-opted by the Christians and became the Christmas tree. So in the tradition of the Feast of St. Nicholas, St. Nicholas rewards the well-behaved children, like we talked about before, and Krampus punishes the badly behaved one with birch rods. Masked devils acting boisterously and making nuisances of themselves are known in Germany since at least the 16th century. And many believe that Krampus derives from a pagan supernatural who was assimilated to the Christian devil. So a lot of people think that that's like where the devil idea came from. Yeah.
We're really doing our society a disservice not having Krampus involved in the Christmas thing.
Fully agree.
It is so much fun. And it's better than it just being like good, like it's more interesting and it is more meaningful than it just being like good kids get this and bad kids get this. Like having like a separate entity, like there's an evil mean Santa.
Yeah, this is the proto naughty and nice list.
So good. So much more literarily rich.
Yeah, fully agree. So Krampus is usually featured as a man with horns with one grotesque human foot and 1 foot of a goat, which is very interesting. Typically, he's covered in black hair, and he also has a very long snake or dragon-like tongue. It'll be like forked and super creepy and big. In the 1950s, the government of Austria distributed pamphlets titled Krampus is an evil man for fear that encounters with Krampus might damage children's mental health. So maybe that's why.
No, but it's good for them. Like,
But yes, towards the end of the century.
It's all make-believe. It's all fun. That's what you got to teach them. Like,
Yeah, I do think like the devil has, become much more of this like faceless like spirit than physical entity, and I think that is because it was probably scary for little kids. So towards the end of
hell with the little kids.
Oh,
it's fun for me, adult.
So towards the end of the century, a popular resurgence of Krampus celebrations have occurred and continues today. They have this thing called the Krampus Run that people do. Tons of people get injured at these Krampus runs. It's pretty crazy.
Like the rest of the world does, they do stuff. They do runs like that all the time, and it just seems like such a bad idea. People are constantly getting hurt, but then you look at like things that we do. Yeah, that like must be like, oh, why are they doing that?
Yeah. So Krampus is often depicted carrying chains, which is also thought to symbolize the binding of the devil by the Christian church. He thrashes the chains for dramatic effect. Sometimes he has bells with him. And Krampus will carry a bundle of birch branches, which he occasionally swats children with. The birch branches are replaced with a whip also in some representations. And on Christmas Eve, Krampus is said to travel with his sack or a basket strapped to his back. And this is to cart off evil children for drowning, eating, and transport to hell.
For a minute, I thought that the naughty children were being carted off for drowning.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like that was their crime.
Oh, no, to be drowned.
Oh, drowning is one of the major sins.
Yeah, such a typical childhood crime, drowning other people. So the last thing I thought was interesting, I'd never learned this before, is that it's customary to offer Krampus schnapps as an offering. to appease him.
Like peppermint schnapps? Or
yeah,
peach?
or like fruit brandy schnapps. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. So I wanted to get into Gryla and the Yule lads. We don't have like too much time to talk about this, but they are famously depicted in an Christmas episode of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I don't know if you've ever watched that.
I did. I did watch that. Not all of it. But it is good.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Super good. The ending's kind of whatever. But yeah.
It got canceled though, right? And they had to do what they had to do.
Which is unfortunate. But yeah, so Gryla is in that episode. And basically she is this monstrous entity who lives in the wilderness of Iceland. And we're going to get into another Icelandic tradition here in a second. But she is represented as this hideous and greedy troll-like crone who wanders between human settlements and demands charity from those she encounters, often asking for naughty children. So yeah, she also was the parent of these little freaks called the Yule lads that helped to carry out her evil doings. And yeah, it's generally now when they talk about her appetite for children and things like that are more toned down for these younger audiences. But yeah, she was a pretty gruesome and terrifying character that was also used to scare the living daylights out of these children around the Christmas time. Pretty cool, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So I have two more traditions I want to talk about here. The first being the Yule Cat, which is also known as the Yule Koturin, or the Yule Kotur, or the Christmas cat. And this is a huge and vicious cat from Icelandic Christmas folklore that is said to lurk in the snowy countryside during the Christmas season and eat people who do not receive new clothing for Christmas Eve. It's their fault. They didn't get new clothing for Christmas Eve.
Well, because they were naughty, or just because...
There's some theories kind of here. So in some versions of the story, the cat just eats the food of the people without new clothes. But I think that's, again, toning it down, kind of like the ogress, Gryla, and the Yule lads for, to make it a little more easily digestible nowadays. But traditionally, the Yule Cat was used as a threat and an incentive for farm workers to finish processing the wool collected in the autumn before Christmas. So those who took part in the work were rewarded with new clothes, but those who did not would get nothing and thus would be prey for the Yule Cat. Yes, it devours financially disadvantaged children.
Ooh.
Yeah. Kids get a hard breaker on the holidays, as if it isn't bad enough. So one article I found... One article I found was from a website called grapevine.is, and it says of the Yule Cat, I just really love this quote, Yule Koturin is a lovable, wholly unholy beast, a sort of proto-fashion police whose impeccable sense of style, in-your-face attitude, and lack of respect for human life terrified Icelanders into stylistic submission in ways that today's anorexia-inducing vogues and cosmopolitans can only dream of. I really like this interpretation of this myth. I don't know. This is a fun one. Okay, so we've talked a lot. Did you read
this? Did I just totally miss where you said the Yule Cat was traditionally used as a threat and incentive for farm workers to finish processing the wool collected in the autumn?
Yes, I said that.
No, you got to make the clothes. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes it's hard.
It's okay.
Well, I wish I responded to it because that's hilarious.
I am giving you a lot of information here, so it's okay.
That's why I need to have it in front of me. I finally have pulled it up, and it's good.
That's fair. That's fair.
But that's good because that's the kind of thing where you read that and you go, yeah, that makes that makes sense. That it, like how it became the legend,
or
whatever.
Yeah,
like you got to finish the clothes, or the Yule Cat's gonna get you.
Yeah. It's very funny. And I think it really speaks to these like ideas of like the culture in a variety of ways of like the Icelandic cultures and them being known as these like very hard workers and a few different commentaries there. So the last tradition I wanted to talk about tonight, this is one that is maybe my favorite Christmas tradition of all time. We talked about it on the radio show back in the day, but we got to get into it again.
Santa every year.
Well, definitely watching that. Herman Merman for the win.
Thurman Merman
for the win. Bad Santa's maybe my favorite Christmas movie. It's the best.
It's the best one. It's definitely the funniest one.
But I'll tell you, if they made a movie about this, I would watch it. I don't even know what that movie would possibly entail because I don't know how you could make a movie, but now I'm saying it. Somebody make this movie. The Tio de Nadal, meaning in English the Christmas log, is a character in Catalan mythology relating to a Christmas tradition widespread in Catalonia, Majorca, Occitania, and Andorra. And this is related to the tradition of the Germanic Christmas tree, which is also a bearer of gifts for the little ones, as well as the British Yule log. So the form of Tio de Nadal, which is found in many Catalan homes during the holiday season, is a hollow log that stands up on 2 or 4 stick legs with a broad smiling face painted on its higher end, enhanced by a red sock hat and often a little nose. And beginning with the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, which is December 8th, I don't know why this corresponds with the Immaculate Conception, but you give this log, the Tio, a little bit to eat, quote unquote, every night, and usually cover him with a blanket so he will not be cold. And the story goes that in the days preceding Christmas, children must take good care of the log, keeping it warm and feeding it so that it will defecate presents on Christmas Eve.
That's the elf on the shelf.
How so?
That's exactly what the elf on the shelf is like.
He gives presents on Christmas Eve?
But like, no, it's like a thing for the kids to interact with. It's like a little character.
Yeah, that makes sense. And he has to, like, they have to take care of it.
But like the elf on the shelf concept is that it's spying on you to make sure that you're good.
Yeah, that one's like
little pranky things. But also, you know what else this is like, and I thought this before you said the part about pooping the presents, is that it's Mr. Hanky the Christmas poop.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's definitely, like, if you see pictures of the poop log, it definitely has like a Mr.
Call it
Hanky.
the poop log?
That's what they call it sometimes.
They call it the poop log?
Yes.
So like, is that not directly what Mr. Hanky is doing?
Possibly, yeah.
Wow.
I actually hadn't thought about this before.
I've never heard of this Yule log.
Yeah.
But it's funny that it's... Wow, this is really funny.
Isn't this great? So on Christmas Day or sometimes Christmas Eve, you put the Tio partly into the fireplace and you order it to defecate. The fire part of the tradition is no longer as widespread because a lot of modern homes don't have fireplaces. Yeah. But to make it defecate, you beat the Tio with sticks while singing various songs of Tio de Nadal. Okay, and
who's doing this?
The kids.
What culture is this?
I just said this. It's Catalonia and Majorca. So it's like Catalan mythology.
Okay.
So the Tio does not drop larger objects. Those are considered to be brought by the 3 wise men, but it does leave candies, nuts, and small toys, and sometimes dried figs, which looks like poop.
Yeah.
So what comes out of the Tio is a communal rather than individual gift shared by everyone there. This is a bonding exercise. So the Tio is often popularly called Caga Tio, which means shitting log or poo log. This derives from the many songs that begin with this phrase, which is originally the imperative where they tell the log to shit log. The use of this expression, however, is not to be believed to be part of the ancient tradition, and its use is discouraged. I disagree. I imagine that this has been from day one. I bet they have been calling this the shitting log. I really do believe that. Like, it's literally pooping the presents out. Like, what? Why would you say that? I don't know. I have to argue with that part of the Wikipedia page.
This is blowing my mind.
Yes. So here's the best part. So the song is sung during the celebration. So after hitting the Tio softly with a stick during the song, it's hit harder on the words Caga Tio, which is shit log. And then somebody puts their hand under the blanket and takes a gift, and the gift is opened, and then the song begins again. So here is one version of the song in English. Shit, Tio, hazelnuts and nougats. Do not shit herrings, for they are too salty. Shit nougats, for they taste better. Shit, Tio, almonds and nougats, and if you don't want to shit, I will hit you with a stick.
I need to hear a recording of this.
Shit, Tio. Let's do it. Let's look it up. I want to.
My God.
Yeah.
I thought, well, you think you know everything about Christmas.
I know. You had no idea. Okay, here it is.
Okay.
Caga tio, caga toro, te vayas do peñón, non cagues arengades, que son massas saladas, caga toro, que son mespons, caga tio.
Oh my God.
Caga toro,
the animation is unreal. The poor log.
The sound effects.
Oh. It knows no cultural bounds. Poop has always been funny.
Oh, wow.
Poop will always be funny.
That was the best thing I think I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to put that link in here. Wow. Okay. We'll have to put that in the show notes so that people can go and see the visual of what we just watched with our own eyes. So there it is. The shitting log. My favorite part of Christmas.
Man.
Way better than a Yule log.
Yeah. Like in modern days, the Yule log is like a tasty cake that is on the thing that you cut slices of. It's not a log that you kind of half put in the fire and beat with a stick until it poops treats for you to.
Isn't it the best?
Man. I can't believe what I just heard.
Cagatio.
Yeah.
I'm going to be singing that all Christmas long. So there you have it.
Do people still do that? If that's your tradition in your family, please
send us pictures of your poop logs. Wait.
Yeah, please send us pictures of your poop logs. You said it correctly.
I take that back. Only if it's made out of wood.
You know what we're talking about.
Oh no. I feel like I've made a bad mistake asking people to send us pictures of their poop logs. Well, there you have it.
Yeah, no better place to end than there.
Yeah, there it is. That is the very ancient and strange traditions that make up the modern Christmas.
Cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that was a good one. Thanks for doing all that research on Krampus. I didn't know we were going to get there.
My pleasure, yeah.
But yeah, cool to know. Definitely watch the 2015 movie Krampus.
It's a good movie.
It's good.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
I like it. Toni Collette's in it.
There's also Mother Krampus is one.
There's a
few.
There's like I feel like maybe I brought it up last year and I've still been trying to find it. There's like a Santa origin movie that's like it's a not English movie that I've been trying to find again.
Is it rare exports?
For like years. I feel like maybe you like have said that. And it's just not.
Okay. That one's interesting.
It's more recent than that. And I don't know if it like never actually got made or something, but I remember seeing a trailer for it, like evil Santa origin movie that's like within the last 5 years.
Okay.
Or 6, like it's not as old as Rare Exports.
We'll have to look this up.
But if you know what movie that is,
Let us know.
I'm trying to find it.
DM us on Instagram at DigiSpellWorld.
It's like a Krampus movie, but it's not. It's a little bit more Santa.
I also thought it was funny. I found there's a movie about the Yule Cat called Krampus. Like Puss in Boots. Krampus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Puss.
Speaking of Santa origin movies to recommend, have you seen Claus on Netflix? It's like an animated movie.
No.
It's like a Netflix movie from maybe 5 years ago. Norm Macdonald does a voice in it, but it's it's like a serious retelling. I don't know if it's based on anything or if it's kind of like its own like for the movie, but it's like a straight up like retelling of the origin of Santa. I guess it is historically like more historically accurate to like Saint Nick of Myra.
Okay.
And
cool.
Yeah, it's been a couple years since I watched it, but it's like very good.
I also saw something that was like, I think a show or maybe it's a movie that is Bruce Campbell and he eats some like poisonous mistletoe or something and he becomes Sinterklaas, which is like the bad Santa. And then he like somehow is able to reconnect with his like good roots and become back into like good Santa Claus.
Oh.
Yeah. I was reading about that on Wikipedia too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look at
Pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Bad Santa, obviously. And from like 2 years ago, that movie Violent Night.
Very
you see
good
that?
one. Yeah.
Super good Santa movie. Don't watch the movie Dear Santa with Jack Black that just came out.
Did you see it?
Bad.
I was wondering.
It's bad. It's so bad.
I just watched.
It's not even like fun bad.
It's just bad.
It's just bad. Jack Black is like overacting and not good.
He plays Satan.
Yeah,
right?
He's like Satan because the kid is dyslexic and he writes to Satan instead of Santa. The kid in it is not good. It's really like super like it's not quite for kids. It's not quite for but it's not like good enough for like adults. It's just like I wanted to like it, and it was bad. Don't watch it. Don't
Jack
waste your
Black
time.
has fallen off. I don't know, especially after how he did Kyle Gass. He's kind of on my bad list.
Yeah.
He's on the naughty
No, but
list.
you know that they were like, yo, I'll take the flack for throwing you under the bus right now, because in 5 years, when we do a reunion tour, it's going to do numbers.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's
I
the
hope.
kind of way that they think.
Yeah, I hope. But yeah, I just watched The Holiday.
I love The Holiday.
It's pretty good. The first half
it.
is like pretty cringe, but then it
It's
gets
too
better.
long.
It's so long.
It's like 2.5 hours
It's
long.
so long.
But it is good.
Yeah, it was good. I thought Jack Black was very good in it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
The story of it is cool. Jude Law is just like
Peak hotness.
ooh, and also just like what a sweet guy.
He really is.
He's a good dad.
He's so secure in his masculinity, and he like cries a bunch.
Yeah, and he's got the 2 daughters. Like you think
Yeah.
like they kind of play it like, oh, he might be like skeezy, but he's just like a really great guy.
Spoiler alert. Sorry if you haven't seen The Holiday.
Like 20-year-old movie.
Yes. I did think the beginning was trying so hard to be Love Actually.
Yeah.
Like the beginning
but
of
it's not.
very
They
much.
didn't come out that far apart.
Yeah,
I don't
2003, 2006. So like 3 years after. Yeah, I looked this up. All right. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. You've been listening to Dizzy Spell. We are recorded live at We Own This Town Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Special thanks to our editor and producer, Michael Eads. Thank you to Victoria Ocampo for our logo and design. And thank you to Jay Childers for the soundbed music you can hear through our episodes. You can check out more of his work at jchilders.bandcamp.com. Follow us on social media at Dizzy Spell World and leave us a review, please, on your preferred streaming source. But only if it is 5 poop logs.
5 poop blogs,
5,
please.
5 little switches on your little butt from Mr. Father Whipper's Spanky. That's what I want from you. Beware the Yule Cat, Earthlings.
Yeah. You better get some new clothes. That's like, you can't wear white after Labor Day, and then you got to get new clothes before the Yule Cat kills you, eats you.
I'm into it.
Bye.
Bye.